The US government is about to commit economic suicide, and when you hear what their new plan is for containing China, you literally will be asking the same question these American financial economists did. Is the Biden administration trying to destroy the dollar? There's a lot to unpack in this story. But first, let's give you the important context behind what's about to go down. It all started 2 years ago when Russia began its latest military operation against Ukraine. The US and its European allies responded to Putin's invasion by seizing over $300 billion in Russian central bank assets. Now the goal was simple. The US wanted to instigate panic in Russian markets and hopefully destroy the Russian economy. With no access to the SWIFT banking system, the US hoped that this would force fear into the Russian citizens, resulting in panic bank runs would then ensue, and if everything worked out perfectly, maybe this could even lead to the removal of Vladimir Putin himself as Russia's president. On paper, the plan looked very plausible, and when Russia's currency tanked following the invasion, it looked like the US strategy would actually work. But then, remarkably, the entire plan failed. To date, there have been over 16,000 sanctions levied against Russia. Surprisingly, Russia has dodged all 16,000 sanctions by transitioning to a war-driven economy, amassing gold reserves, and leveraging gold for global commodity trade. I've delved into Russia's gold strategy in a detailed presentation, illustrating a captivating case study. It underscores how our evolving multipolar world is reshaping familiar paradigms. Stick around till the end of today's video, and I'll unveil this presentation, elucidating how integrating gold into your investment portfolio can prove advantageous. Here's where the plot thickens. Instead of Russian banks bearing the brunt, it was American financial institutions that started faltering last spring. The collapse of Silicon Valley's Signature and Silvergate banks, alongside numerous regional banks across the US, prompted the Federal Reserve to intervene, extending emergency loans to quell citizen panic. Now, Janet Yellen, in tandem with the European Commission, aims to redirect the $300 billion seized from Russia directly to Ukraine. This proposed action not only breaches international law, but also serves as a stark warning to the global community. Western financial markets may no longer be secure havens for wealth preservation. In essence, this single maneuver could undermine global confidence in both the US dollar and the euro. Your asset security would hinge on your favor with Washington and Brussels, ushering in a new era where financial stability is intertwined with geopolitical alliances. Make no mistake, a significant shift is underway. Businessmen, corporations, and even nations heavily invested in US debt are beginning to diversify away from the US dollar due to escalating geopolitical risks. China, once the largest holder of US debt, has been rapidly divesting from dollars in favor of accumulating gold in recent years. And it's not just China. Central banks worldwide have been aggressively acquiring gold, propelling its prices to record highs month after month. But hold on. I haven't even mentioned Biden's latest proposal to engage in a currency war with China, an idea that some deem outright absurd. While some may argue that maintaining a favorable relationship with the US and EU should be straightforward, recent events suggest otherwise. Just a few months ago, an article shared by African businesses highlighted US threats of sanctions against Uganda over new anti-gay legislation. This illustrates that tensions extend beyond traditional geopolitical conflicts. Furthermore, imagine waking up as a nation with beliefs conflicting with those of the US government, only to find your access to the US dollar abruptly cut off. But the story doesn't end there. Consider the prospect of the 2024 presidential frontrunner, Donald Trump, proposing sanctions against countries for abandoning the US dollar. In a recent CNBC interview, Trump expressed his disdain for countries shifting away from the dollar, equating it to losing a revolutionary war. This demonstrates a potential escalation of economic coercion on an unprecedented scale. Regardless of the rhetoric from former or current presidents, the global landscape is undeniably shifting. Just a few months back, Indonesia's president emphasized the need for his country to diversify its holdings away from the dollar and dollar-denominated assets, citing Russia's example. Indonesia, the fourth most populous nation globally, initiated a dollarization task force last year to boost the use of its local currency in bilateral transactions and mitigate risks associated with the US dollar. The trend is clear. Many countries across Latin America, Africa, and Asia are pivoting away from the United States towards closer ties with China. Perhaps it's time to rename the Global South as the Global Majority, considering that 88% of the world's population resides outside the Western sphere. It's no secret that many nations within this global majority seek reduced sanctions and diminished reliance on the US dollar. However, the plot thickens. As promised, let's delve into the latest US government threats against China and their implications for global currencies. According to Business Insider, the US is contemplating leveraging the dollar's dominance to deter Chinese banks from aiding Russia. But here's the twist: this plan could backfire. US policymakers may be scrutinizing a chart from 2020, revealing a significant surge in trade between Russia and China, from $107 billion to $240 billion in just 3 years by 2023. The US isn't pleased with China bolstering ties with Russia. Yet the reality is that over 85% of the world isn't sanctioning Russia. Notably, even one of America's staunchest allies, India, continues to import Russian crude oil amidst the Ukraine conflict. However, such nuances seem lost on US politicians. Recently, the Wall Street Journal unveiled a concerning development. The US is drafting sanctions that could potentially sever some Chinese banks from the global financial system. Frankly, the leadership of the US government seems to have veered off course completely. It brings to mind the age-old adage, "Don't play with fire unless you're prepared to get burned." Yet, this is precisely the perilous path the US government seems intent on treading. Have we learned nothing from the failed attempt to contain Russia through over 16,000 sanctions? Evidently not. Sanctions have only served to bolster Russia's military prowess. Despite any emergency aid Congress may allocate to Ukraine, the stark reality is that this conflict is unlikely to culminate in anything but a victory for Russia. This isn't mere conjecture or parroting Russian propaganda. It's the consensus among numerous seasoned war experts in the US. Now, let's confront the harsh truth. Sanctioning Russia is one thing, but targeting Chinese banks and isolating them from the international monetary system would be nothing short of a catastrophic miscalculation. It's akin to providing the world with a swift incentive to hasten its departure from the US dollar. Consider this. In 2000, the US held immense leverage globally as the top trading partner with virtually every major country and continent. Fast forward 2 decades, and the scenario has dramatically shifted. A mere handful of nations now consider the US their primary trading partner, while the majority of the world looks to China. China's ascendance is unmistakable, as reflected by the dominance of red in a graph depicting this transition. With this newfound leverage, China possesses the capability to catalyze global dollarization effortlessly. Imagine if China were to decree that henceforth, purchases of Chinese goods must be conducted exclusively in its currency. Given that over 120 countries now count China as their principal trading partner, widespread dollarization would swiftly ensue. This underscores why the notion of sanctioning Chinese banks is not only foolhardy, but also destined to backfire spectacularly against the US government and the US dollar. In truth, the trend towards dollarization has been unfolding for decades. It commenced around the turn of the century when the world still operated within a unipolar paradigm, with the US reigning as the sole superpower. Back in 1999, a staggering 73% of global currency reserves were denominated in US dollars. However, over the ensuing 2 decades, China's ascent has been palpable. Recall the earlier graph illustrating the seismic shift towards China's dominance in global trade, a testament to the evolving geopolitical landscape. When China ascended to the position of the world's foremost trading partner, it marked the dawn of a new multipolar era. Nations found themselves at a crossroads, with the option to align with the United States, China, or both. By 2021, only 55% of global currency reserves remained denominated in US dollars. However, the seizure of Russian financial assets in 2022 propelled the global push towards dollarization to unprecedented heights. By the close of 2023, less than 47% of the world's currency reserves were held in the US dollar. Economist Peter Say aptly captured the sentiment surrounding the actions of the US government and our politicians when he remarked, "If the people running our country were intentionally trying to destroy the dollar, it's not clear what they would be doing differently." This underscores the importance of studying geopolitics and staying abreast of global developments. There's always something to glean, whether it's identifying opportunities in the investment market or understanding the dynamics shaping the world stage. A key factor enabling Russia to evade all 16,000 sanctions was its strategic accumulation of gold reserves and the pegging of its currency to gold. This move provided stability during turbulent times and serves as a potent investment strategy that individuals can adopt. In my opinion, precious metals should undoubtedly feature in a balanced investment portfolio. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching.